It's worse than Watergate. The Biden brain cover-up's a full-blown White House scandal. Joe's staff reportedly gives him toddler-like instructions on how to do simple things like enter and exit a room. Axios blowing the lid on how staffers prepare a short document with large print and photos that include his precise path to a podium. One of the instructions tells Joe, quote, "Walk to podium." The campaign's also in on the cover-up. They just got a black radio host fired from her job after she admitted how they spoon-fed her 8 questions to ask her in her interview with the president.
The White House sent the questions to you ahead of the interview?
Yes.
Okay.
I got several questions, 8 of them, and the 4 that were chosen were the ones that I approved.
Okay. And the reason I ask is not a criticism of either view. It's just that if the White House is trying now to prove the vim, vigor, acuity of the president, I don't know how they do that by sending questions first before the interview so that the president knows what's coming.
You know, Dana, that this isn't the first time they sent questions ahead of the interview.
Yeah.
The cover-up continues.
So it's not unusual for a PR person to suggest questions like, here's some questions you might want to ask. It is unusual for a reporter to say, great, thanks.
Right.
And then it's even more unusual to suggest the questions and then have your principal still struggle to answer them.
Mm-hmm.
That actually was surprising to me. I feel that, I'm sorry she lost her job, but if the price of getting an interview with the president is to sell your principles as a journalist, then I don't think that's a job worth having anyway. And the fact that I was telling Greg this in the green room, I've decided there is BD and AD before debate and after debate.
That's not what you said. You said BD something else.
Yeah.
Anyway, go ahead.
I did not. So I don't even know what that means. Wow. So BD, before debate. We would have these conversations like, oh, we're just having a replay of 2020 without the COVID. And AD, it's like, no, we have a president who somebody inside the White House who works for him says he's only dependably engaged from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. We have adversaries on the march. We have Putin meeting with Xi. We have Putin making a move today on a children's hospital. We have the NATO leaders who, after debate, AD, tell reporters on background, yeah, we were like kind of surprised. We were worried about him when he was in Europe. And now they're going to be with him this week. They're coming on all the shows. They can't answer any of these questions. They're going to be with him. He's got now the Biden is raising the stakes so high for this press conference on Thursday. That's supposed to take place at 5:30 p.m. right here. I don't understand how the White House continues to just make everything worse. And my last point about this is we are taught to respect our elders and to take care of people and to help them. And what we have done instead, because of the Biden family decisions and the White House communications team covering it up, we are now like fully just making jokes about people who need help. And it's not right.
Well, here's another joke. I mean, Greg, you are very much like Joe Biden.
Yes.
You're great between 10 and 4. And then after that, you know, we've seen you on television.
But I'm not president. You know that?
Thank God.
Oh, by the way, I'm going to defend that lady. You're right. Like, do you think I've ever read any of those books by Fox News authors, the people that we have here? Are you kidding me? I wouldn't open them if you paid me. So I get the questions. They give you the question. She's not Brett Baer. She's a low-level hack. You know, she probably should have come up with her own questions, but she shouldn't have been fired. It's like you interviewing somebody over a cookbook. Give me some questions. All she did is she handed her thinking off to somebody else. But I really miss Dark Brandon. Do you remember Dark Brandon? Yeah. How did we, remember that was supposed to be a thing? Oh, he's hip. Put on the sunglasses. Dark Brandon. What a bunch of BS. What's interesting to me is after all this denial, when the media focused on all these stories like the Alito flag or Clarence Thomas's wife, or remember George Santos, you know, they knew all about this all the time. Now they're not. And the reason there's a shark feed now is that Biden stories make money, because it used to be CNN, MSNBC, all the websites, that was clickbait for lefties. But then this story broke out, and now they have millions of people. And lo and behold, they do want to read about Joe Biden's decline. It's interesting to them. It's just like Harvey Weinstein. Everybody in the industry knew about it, but it wasn't until it got into the general consumption, it went boom. And do you remember Harvey Weinstein's defense? So he wouldn't go to jail and he wouldn't be ostracized? I'm going to force Trump to retire. Let me stay. I'm going to raise money to beat Trump. It's exactly, Biden is doing the Weinstein defense, and nobody's buying. And I had another point here. Oh, yeah, there's another reason why this went on for so long. I call it award porn. The media responds to incentives, and the only way you can win awards is by doing Trump exposés. Then they hand out Pulitzers like they're Xanax at a Biden rally. But you can't do a Democrat investigative story on Democrats because that's like a cop arresting a cop. So now you got all these press people acting like they're heroes because they're now critical of Biden. Stop it. You were in hiding the whole time. You can't pull a Rosie Ruiz, jump in front of the marathon and claim you raced. Is that even a word?
I wish I knew who Rosie Ruiz was.
come on.
Come
That's a
on,
great
Boston
story.
Marathon.
Oh, okay.
You say you're an athlete.
It's a marathon. That's not really athletic.
Oh, send your letters.
Send your letters to me. It's an endurance race. I've never tried it after a 5K.
You're not known for your
Judge
endurance.
Janine, have you spoken to her? What did she tell you? Judge Janine.
You know what? Everybody is so surprised that, we've got a president who needs a written script or a detailed notes on how to enter and leave a room. I mean, that should be enough for any country to say, you got to go. There should be no discussion. What are we discussing? The guy is beyond the pale. He should not be the president. He should not be the commander-in-chief. And so what happens now is you've got the White House, which has for years been telling people what to ask him. For years have been telling them, you've got to ask him this question. And according to one reporter said, this is how you ask the question. This is how you say it. There's no follow-up allowed. And you know what? The reporters went along with it, which is why they're in such a pail of garbage right now, because everybody knew it. We knew it sitting here and standing here. This is ridiculous what's going on. But the crazy part of this is he goes on this WURD, which is a black radio show, a channel, and he gives them the questions. The Biden administration gives the questions, and he still stumbles. He says something like, I am proud to be the first black woman to serve with a black president. This is what he says. And then he says, I'm proud to be that I'm the first president that got elected statewide in the state of Delaware when I was a kid. Well, nobody gives a damn about the state of Delaware because you're in the state of Pennsylvania. But he didn't know that. Everything about what is coming out of his mouth is nonsense. And the White House has allowed that to happen. They've allowed that kind of thing to go on and on and on. And, you know, the interviews that are meant to restore Biden's credibility have done nothing but continue to destroy them, and they will be continued to destroy as he goes forward. Just like Dana, I think it was Dana just said, you know, at the G7, everybody was saying how great he was. Well, behind his back, they're saying this guy has really declined. But the White House is saying, and he's saying, they said, gee, I'm doing so great. I mean, we're like a stupid country. The emperor has no clothes.
There are huge differences between these candidates. The reason that in the parties, the reason that people, I think, in the Democratic Party are so concerned about the president's ability to wage a campaign and to serve for 4 more years is because of the differences between the candidates. If Donald Trump is elected president again, there are a lot of people around this table, and a lot of people around the country will be happy. But I will tell you, there are those of us who are concerned that the courts will look different, that we won't be a part of NATO, that this Project 2025, which the president says he doesn't know a whole lot about, but he doesn't know if he supports any of it, supports a little bit of it. These are things that are at stake. So when I say the things I say about the president, I don't take any glee or any joy in it at all. What I'm talking about is what's at stake in the election. Do we tax rich people or do we tax middle-class people? Do we change Social Security and Medicare as we know it today? These are the things that are at stake. So my concern and my fire, my passion this afternoon is all about what's at stake. And I hope my party understands how serious this election is.
Thank you, Harold.
Thank you, Harold.
Coming up, the media turning on Joe didn't last long. Whoopies got Biden's back, no matter how messy it gets.